Anyway, this is Not Quite Live. I'm Joseph Gallant, and before we plunge into this week's edition, a housekeeping announcement. You may remember that we were supposed to have a show late in May and in early June that was to have featured John Horrigan, Karen Bump, and from the TV Collectors, Steve and Diane Albert. But first, the Sharon Community Theater is currently running a production which we're going to learn more about in a moment. It's gotten some rave reviews in a couple of local newspapers, and here to talk about it is one of the stars of the production, someone who you may better know as a veteran local cable personality, whether you're watching us on Channel 32 in Norwood and Westwood or Channel 3 in Dedham. Chances are you've seen this guy more than once. Please welcome one of our favorite people, Mr. John Horrigan.
Nice to see you, Joe.
Nice to see you. It's been certainly a long time in coming. As I mentioned in the introduction, John, of course, you've been a part of the local cable programming scene in Norwood, Westwood, and Dedham for a long number of years. And although I'll get to your current work as far as the stage production here in a second, briefly tell me, how did you get interested in being in front of a television camera? How did that come about?
It's that stupid little document called the Constitution and the First Amendment. Actually, I got involved in broadcasting back in 1983, I believe, with Dedham Cable. They were looking for a football broadcaster. I said I had broadcast football and I'd love to do it. I was lying. They counted me down for the first game. I froze, and from then on it's been a pretty profitable career for me.
That must have been back at the very beginning, because I think '83 was also the year that local cable programming came here to Norwood.
It has been. Yeah, it's. I met you back then. I think in 1980. We were talking about
85.
that before the show at a hockey game in West Suburban Arena.
Yeah, that was the final game of the '84-'85 regular season. Norwood was playing Dedham. Dedham, I think, needed a win to make the playoffs. Norwood needed a win to at least tie for the league title. And we shared the pictures from, I guess it was the Dedham cable system, but however, you did the commentary that was seen in Channel 3, and I was the one doing commentary for Channels 14 and 32 here in Norwood. And I remember, as soon as the game was over, a guy named Bob Goodale, who was the producer for us, he and I rushed back to Norwood with a tape of the game, and we put it on the air as soon as he came back, which was about an hour after the game ended, because there was so much pent-up enthusiasm in Norwood. There was so much hype over this event. It was the first time that a high school sporting event had ever been seen in cable in Norwood, or the second time. I think a Thanksgiving football game in '83 or '84 may have been first, but at least for hockey, the first time a high school hockey game had ever been seen the same evening it was played. And I think only one other time has that ever happened over the years. But of all the on-air work you had done, either here or in Dedham, what is the one piece of on-air work you're proudest of, or was your favorite?
Probably, I've done a couple of programs right now that I'm working with. One is called Atlantic Boxing Television out of Dedham, where I work with former welterweight champion Paul Stivaleta and Peter McGowan. We've done over 200 fights, both pro and amateur. We've followed Peter McNeely's career from the start. Another bit is called On Guard, a 20-episode pilot that I put up in Dedham from the 1994 NCAA Fencing Championships, having no clue about fencing, covering it and hiding behind my vocabulary. I was very proud of that. And then finally, I'm doing something out of CBI Channel 11 with Mark Chavis in Foxborough. We're covering professional auto racing at Seekonk. So those are probably the three things right now that I'm really focusing on.
And Mark Chavis is someone I had a chance to bump into, because this winter there was a big game in hockey between Westwood and Medfield, and Medfield used a truck, and I guess we're using 4 or 5 cameras, and I was along to do the commentary for viewers in Norwood and Westwood, so we took a deck and took their picture feed. In fact, our director, Data Benedetti, was on the crew. They put him in a camera up in one of the end zones, and for a second angle replay, and it was a tremendous game from the Westwood point of view. Unfortunately, Medfield won, but that's another story. But going to your current speaking about Atlantic Boxing Television, before we go to your current theatrical work, do you think Peter McNeely has a chance against Mike Tyson in August?
Yeah, because Mike Tyson might get in trouble again before August comes. He might go back to jail.
Well, assuming that fight takes place, I thought you meant trouble as far as maybe perhaps Mike Tyson was out of shape.
No. Peter's got his hands full. He's fought 32 racks of meat, some without pulses, some with pulses. He's got a real fighter to take on. He's a great guy. He knows his chances are astronomical, but his dad's a great guy. His trainer, Vinny Vecchione's a great guy. You couldn't ask for a more classier bunch representing Medfield, Massachusetts. Of course,
and all of New England.
And all of New England for that. But, of course, he's put up as an icon, so to speak, for Mike Tyson. Who knows? Tyson might have lost it. It's tough to come back from any sport after a layoff.
Well, I know Muhammad Ali was in a forced layoff because he refused induction to the Army, and that didn't stop him from eventually regaining the title. He got his first shot in Frazier, won, didn't win, then a couple of years later beat George Foreman in Zaire. But I personally hope, it may be too much to ask for, but I hope Peter McLeary wins that fight, because not only does he deserve it, he's been fighting a bunch of nobodies for years. He deserved a big fight long before this, and because if he beats Mike Tyson, his next fight after that will probably be for the championship.
That's right, and he'll probably get a shot at George Foreman at some point, but I just want to have him have a good showing.
Okay, now to the reason you're here, which is you're currently in a production at the Sharon Community Theater. Briefly tell us the name of the production and how long is it going to be running until?
The name of the show is Run for Your Wife. It's a British farce by Ray Cooney. It opened up the first weekend in June in Sharon. It's running for the first 3 weekends in June, Friday the 2nd, 9th, and 16th, Saturday the 3rd, 10th, and 17th. Curtain time 8:10, with a Sunday matinee performance on Sunday, June 11th at 1:30.
So if you're watching us in Norwood and Westwood and maybe Dedham on June 9th, you can catch the Sunday matinee.
Yeah, exactly. We opened up Friday. We had 5 critics and a casting director from Los Angeles in the crowd. I went in to put my props in Thursday night, the night before the production opened, and traditionally in theater, you're not supposed to see your other cast members like a wedding prior to the night of your opening performance. You're supposed to go out and do whatever. And I come in to lay my props down, and there's the entire cast. And I'm saying, what's up with that? And I find out that Jason Fortier, who plays Bobby Franklin, his grandmother had just passed away. So Dennis McGee, the trooper that he is, the outstanding actor, he's also the director, steps in admirably, comes on stage, and I huddled up with Bruce Church, who plays Stanley Gardner. I said, Bruce, when he comes on, we're going to just get him off the set as soon as possible. And sure enough, Dennis would come on, and we just march him off to the kitchen or the bedroom and get on with the program. So it was kind of an abridged version that we ran. And then Jason came back on Saturday night and was just outstanding. And I got offered a part right after the play for a production called...
I'm going to ask that a little later, but first of all, how much are tickets?
Tickets are $8, or they're free if you sneak in the back door. It's up to you. $6 for seniors, or for immature people like myself. So it's $8. You call 617-344-5526.
And we'll have that again at the end of the segment. But what is your role in this production?
I play the role of John Smith, a taxi driver. I'm married to 2 women who don't know about it, which is a great idea because I like it because I'm such a sneak myself. But my neighbor upstairs, Stanley Gardner, finds out about this, and I get involved in this mugging incident where I try to help out this old lady, and 2 police want to give me a commendation from both ends, tracking down my address in Streatham and in Wimbledon. And my neighbor, the more he tries to help out, the more he messes things up for me. So it's a farce. I'm literally running for my wife the entire play from the word go. And it's just a classic farce and a play on words. And there's a great crew. Diane Cook plays my wife Barbara. She's from Burrillville, Rhode Island. Diane Perot from Berkeley, Mass. plays my wife Mary. Sergeant Troughton is Beth Ann Tremaine from Attleboro. Jason Fortier from Pawtucket, Rhode Island is Bobby Franklin. Bruce Church is Stanley Gardner. He's from Norton.
You mentioned that you were offered a role in another show. How did that come about? What play or production is it? And when can we expect you to be performing it?
Well, obviously there's a shortage of actors, or the guy wouldn't have offered me the part. I do a pretty good British dialect, and I also sing some pretty mean John Lennon and Beatles songs at karaoke. So this guy came up, heard my British dialect, and says, oh boy, I'd love to have you go out for John Lennon in the part. And I said, well, one problem, I'm 6'2", 185, and I think Lennon was 5'9", 240. No, but he heard me sing karaoke, do a couple of John Lennon things, and so he said, I'd love to have you in my production. And before I had a chance to examine it, I'm in the production, which opens up in Saugus on July 19th, and then we open in Boston at the Lyric Stage on August 25th.
And do you know what the title of that production is?
Heaven Rocks. It's about deceased rock stars trying to amuse the Lord and Moses.
That's interesting and different.
And sacrilegious.
I would guess this is a very different role than the role you're doing in Run for Your Wife. So, since I would suspect it is,
not really.
or is it?
In both roles, I'm making an idiot out of myself. So I think that there's the 2 linkages there.
Mr. Horrigan, you claim to make an idiot out of yourself, but I've read a couple of reviews of your work in Run for Your Wife, and the production got some rave reviews from some local critics. So don't try putting yourself down, because you and the other cast members apparently have done a stupendous job job so far.
Yeah, well, we've worked hard, and if you want to get good at anything, as you know, Joe, and your work ethic is to be commended as a broadcaster. You prepare yourself. And I'm from the school, beat it to death until it's dead. Rehearse 4 or 5 nights a week, get it done until it's right. And if you don't put 110% into anything that you do, there's no need doing it. So that we've worked very, very hard, and I set a grueling pace for myself, and I expect others to at least come halfway.
Speaking of that I know your role in Run for Your Wife, I guess, can be considered light comedy or farce comedy. Would you like to do more of that in the future? Because I would think your portrayal of John Lennon may not necessarily be light comedy.
No, but he was very snide, and I find myself...
He was very witty, too, as I remember.
Absolutely quick-witted, and I was looking at the script today, as a matter of fact, and some of the things that he said are quite funny, so I can see myself putting myself into that character. Yeah, of course I'd like to do that. Comedy is great. Everybody likes a laugh. I enjoy building the character and the whimsical part of the character, adding my own touches at the last second, and even making my director laugh. I could hear him cackling in the back the other night, and that made me feel good because here it is after 38 rehearsals. It's still fresh to him, and I'm bringing new things to the stage.
As a matter of fact, you're the type of person that we could have spent a lot more time talking to, but unfortunately we've got a couple other guests. We also have our infamous Can You Believe These Tabloids segment, which will be coming up later in the hour. But before we leave, we're once again going to put up information on the Sharon Community Theater's performance of Run for Your Wife. It's performing with John Horrigan, one of the stars in it, continues Fridays and Saturdays through June 17th, and if you're watching us on June 9th, there's a matinee Sunday, June 11th. The location, the Sharon Community Center, and isn't that near Lake Massapag?
Massapog, yeah.
Massapog, okay, although Massapog or Massapag, but nevertheless, an 8:15 p.m. curtain for the Friday and Saturday performances, 3 o'clock is it for the Sunday?
1:30.
1:30, okay, 1:30 for the Sunday performance. Tickets are $8 or $6 for students and seniors, and can be ordered by calling 1-617-344-5526. That's 1-617-344-5526. We're going to be taking a short break.